Welcome to 20 Minutes of Clarity.
I'm your host, Jason Noble, and with me today is the knowledgeable Andy Merchant. We're going to be exploring an alternative strategy for retirement income replacement that may have not been considered before. So this is an important part of the concept of protected income as we wrap up the protected income series of this podcast. So let's get into this today. It's going to be cash value life insurance. We all know how important it is to have reliable income streams in retirement. While traditional options like Social Security, pensions, and investment portfolios are crucial, there are innovative strategies that can provide additional security and flexibility. And one of those such strategies is the cash value life insurance approach. So we're going to also reference here some research done by Professor Wade Pfau, a renowned expert in retirement income planning, to understand how cash value can be a powerful tool to ensure steady retirement income. He was my professional when I went through, he was my professor as I went through the American College for the Retirement Income Certified Professional designation. So Professor Pfau, thank you so much for all the arguments that we had over this topic, insight that he provided. This was at the time I went through this course, Andy. I don't know if I share this with you. I was working at a firm where you would buy term and invest the rest. You would buy just term and they never looked at how cash value could ever come into a plan for retirement income strategies and using this towards protected income. So I thought this was really interesting that you were like, Jason, let's talk about this. This is something that you and I work with our clients where it makes very much like their clear picture shows that this is a route we should take, right? But bringing in this information from our car ride into work to the actual podcast, I appreciate you on this. So let's go ahead and dive right in. You okay with that, Andy?
Hey, I like this topic, so I think this will be a fun one and something hopefully a little bit some new information for those that are our viewers and listeners to a new strategy. So yeah, let's kick it off.
Well, here's an overview of the findings, and we could break it down more into details as we continue on. So what just the cash value life insurance basics. Can you give us the basics on just the cash value life insurance?
Yeah, I like it as the one stone kills two birds approach. Really, but if you think about it, right, those that are listening and viewing, you have so much resources you can apply. You can save it to a savings account. You can save it to an after-tax brokerage account or 401k, whatever it may be. You have money to save. But a cash value life insurance, where it's different, is that you're making those plan premiums, and you could do those on a monthly, semi-annual, annual, quarterly, whatever. It's pretty custom that we can do. But what you're doing is you're putting in a premium, and part of that premium is going to go towards the cost of insurance coverage. So you are buying an insurance, and we'll probably go into a little bit of the depth of how we solve for those a little bit in this discussion. But we do solve these to where you're putting in more money than what is the necessary cost of insurance. That's what you find in term, right? Term insurance is just premium equals cost of insurance to provide a death benefit. For a cash value IUL, we design these so that you put in as little towards the death benefit coverage you need in order to keep it within the parameters that I know Jason will highlight. But then we take the additional amount and we can design those in a number of different ways that goes to cash value. So the simple way of thinking is that an extra bucket is almost what can be considered as an alternative Roth. It goes in, it grows tax deferred. When you need access to it, you can pull it out. There are some ways to pull it out, but when you do take it out, it's not subject to taxes. Of course, there's some rules there, but the way we would design it is it'd be very, very similar to a Roth. And the added benefit.
The reason why you're saying that, because one of the primary benefits of cash value life insurance is that tax treatment. The cash value grows tax deferred, and policy and loans can be taken out tax free as long as the policy remains in force and it's not a modified endowment contract, the MEC, right? No, but what this also offers, right, is diversification and flexibility. Now, Wade Pfau's research highlights the diversification benefits of including a cash value life insurance and retirement plan. It provides a non-market correlated asset that can offer financial flexibility, and especially in market downturns. This goes back into the product design. Like what Andy was discussing was index universal life policy. In index universal life, NIULs, a lot of them offer downside protection on the volatility on a downside. You could still have loss of accumulation value due to the insurance charges. So this is important that it's well constructed and shown in these different environments. How does that actually perform? Again, not just off of a pamphlet, a four-colored a page pamphlet. No, but like it shows not in just the illustration, but shown in your actual financial plan as a what if. So I'll show you that. But then like if you have like a whole life policy, right, then you know like you're not having to deal with any volatility on the up or the down. It's all about like the yield that's going to be placed in there. But if you have a variable life policy, understand like you're subject to more of the risk of the market. That was not really part of the research or the class as the RICP of using like a variable insurance policy. It was whole life or index universal life because we wanted to have non-correlation to the overall market. That was a big part of it. Any talking points on that, Andy?
Yeah, I love how you say it, really, because when we talk to clients about adding this in as a component, we always try to relate it to what their traditional mindset's been brought to attention. And the way we use it is, we're not using any variable based products at all. Out of my office, we're just using the cash value with the IUL because we're buying it for the downside. If you're going to take risk, you might as well have access to your capital, and get the growth that way. But the way I like what you said there is the way we talk about it is the cash value IUL is kind of like your equity alternative of that money into an insurance policy. If we want to go whole life, then a whole life is going to be, as your point, Jason, is more of the bond type strategy. You're going to get your dividend, very minimal growth, but it's all about the design, and that's really what this should be called is design. And the only thing I want to add that will segment probably the rest of more of the conversation here is that if you remember in our previous episode that we just released, last week, was we talked about annuities and how to buy protected income through annuities. We made one recommendation: use retirement accounts, right? Because of the tax treatment. These are for those clients that we talk to a lot that have a little bit of extra money that would not go into a tax deferred account, but we want the tax treatment. Maybe those that are phased out of doing Roth contributions. So this is the solution for non-retirement money that we can help clients allocate, get some downside protection, and also get some tax-free growth and some protected income in retirement.
So another thing that I will share as far as research from Professor Fowl was really around offsetting sequence of return risk. This is something we talked about before, but sequence of return risk is really going into when you retired, what happens to the market, right? Like if you happen to retire in 2000, well, 2000, 2001, 2002, the market fell back every single year, the stock market did, right? So really rough time to start going into retirement. Oh, you started retirement in 2008, market declines 38% in your first year, and you're withdrawing money on top of that to live your lifestyle. That could really throw off your retirement plan. So sequence of return risk is no one could tell you what the market's going to do year over year in the future. If they did, there'd be a fortune teller at that point. And the best thing about stock market predictors, they make fortune tellers look good. So we're not going to play that game. Okay, what we're going to get back to is on sequence of return risk. That's a real risk, right? And by utilizing cash value during market downturns, retirees can avoid selling off investments at a loss, which helps mitigate the sequence of return risk. A significant concern for retirees when relying on systematic withdrawals from their investment portfolios. So in the main part of the conversation and debate, imagine I'm just going to take you back to when I was there going through this course. I was at a firm that said invest the rest. So buy term and invest the rest. So invest all in the public markets. So you're only relying on systematic withdrawals. And this is say the 4% rule. You only withdraw on that. But if you have a major market pullback, right? And they're going to go, well, stocks and bonds, right? Well, no, 2022, stocks and bonds both went down in the same year. There's 4 times That was the fourth time, and it was significant. It was the first time we saw double-digit losses in the bond market, right? But if you were using like a cash value policy, or you had other protected income streams, but in this case, let's say you just have the cash value, and you're withdrawing money from that. Now you're not withdrawing down money in the public markets that are at a loss, creating more of an issue, right? What you're doing is you're withdrawing, you're supplementing your income from this. So when the markets do return and when they do rebound, it's just a matter of time when they do and how they do and how fast they do. Then you can start using that money again. Andy, come on.
Yeah.
Pick me up here, brother.
I love it because, I just was going to put out there, when we started today's discussion, we started with advanced protected income solution. And you could see there's a lot more moving parts. I'm sure there's people out there that will say, well, cost and everything else. But these are very tailored strategies to individuals that need it. And let me just share a fun story. I mean, I went through our Clear Picture Wealth program personally, of course, that we put all of our clients through. So why not put it in through ourselves? And I tend to like to eat my own cooking as we talk to clients about opportunity. But I evaluated in my situation that I wanted to utilize my 401k planning, but instead of just limiting there, because I needed a little extra life insurance to protect my family, instead of putting more into my 401k for a deferred strategy through the Roth, I decided to go ahead and reallocate some of my additional savings that was planned to go into my 401k. And now I just built a 10-year budget that I'm going to fund this policy over the next 10 years. And then after that, I'm going to let it just grow and cook and have access to it. So that's just a real life scenario that I personally went through on myself that killed my two birds with one stone. I understand the cost that goes into it. I understand the management of the strategy and the reliance. That's the other thing is you can't just buy these, set them and forget them. You have to, your financial professional also has to be able to help manage them and make the adjustments necessary inside the policy because you do depend on performance, right? So I think that's the key that I used it for, and I hope that kind of helps outline something.
It does, and like it's always going to come back to policy design and making sure it's part of the overall financial plan and picture. And obviously, when you did that, you were looking at all the different facets that come into play. But the considerations and cautions of going into this before we get back into more of how this plays out is the cost and complexity. While there are benefits, there are higher costs and complexities associated with cash value life insurance than like a term insurance policy. And understanding those policy details is absolutely 100% crucial. Absolutely. So make sure you understand them. And if you don't, keep on asking questions till you do or move on, right? And the other one is policy design. The effectiveness of the strategy greatly depends on the policy design and the proper management of the strategy. Selecting a well-structured policy and working with a knowledgeable financial professional is essential to ensure the benefits outweigh those costs, making sure that all things are being taken a look at, right? Now, one of the things that I want to go back to is going through in the training and the retirement income certified professional designation is they looked at this as a buffered strategy. And a buffer strategy involves using a cash value as source of funds during periods of poor market performance. I was just using specific years as an example, right? But like if you have like one bad year like 2022, that's one thing. But what if you have like a .com pullback, like and from what we saw from 2000, 2001, and 2002? Right, using this strategy will help preserve the investment assets, allowing them to recover while still providing necessary income for those living expenses. Now, the other thing is like we touched on it. It's like if it's not a MEC, modified endowment contract, you could take money out with tax-free benefits. So when you were saying it could be like a Roth, you put the money in after tax, the money grows tax deferred, and when you use the money down the road, it's tax-free. The interesting thing, though, about insurance policies is there's not that 5-year rule plus 59.5, right? This is the 59.5. You could use this money, especially if you're on the FIRE method or you're looking to retire at like, let's say 45 or 45 years or 55 years old, right? you could use a policy like this to help out with tax-free. And I'm going to share a really sophisticated strategy that's involved in this for a client that I'm working with. They're in their early 30s, and a combined income is around $450,000. They're maxing out their 401ks. They are doing backdoor Roth conversions, so we are doing that as well, because we like to have bucket money in all the different types of buckets. But now we introduce this policy. Now, in their specific policy design, they're going to start using this money at 55 to get them from 55 to 59 and a half before they start withdrawing money from their IRA. However, we saw that if we don't do Roth conversions, their required minimum distributions are going to be astronomical. Now, keep in mind, they're 32, 33 years old right now. I'm using today's laws for the required minimum distribution, knowing full well they're most likely going to change. But what if taxes go up? Now we have this other arrow in the quiver to use the insurance policy to allow us to do what's called Roth conversions and pay the taxes from the insurance policy. They're going to use tax-free money to pay the taxes on the Roth conversion, keeping more money inside the Roth, less going for tax drag, and paying it still. How do you like them apples? And improve the probability of success significantly. And now you got to keep in mind, I don't have this case study to show everybody on here because that would be a violation of their confidentiality. Might have to have them come on and talk about this in a future podcast. But when I showed them this, I was like, okay, you're looking around 66 to 67 years old, never paying taxes again. Because you're going to, unless they really reform the tax code law on Roth IRAs and life insurance withdrawals, if they don't reform them, if they can let them to be the way they are right now, no taxes for like a third of their life because of the work that we did today. So this is a story of like starting when you're younger to plan from ahead. But we could work like this for our clients no matter where they are in their stage of retirement planning.
I love you say that.
No,
because this one's fun, right? I mean, this one's fun because it's different. It's not just an easy, buy a ticker, invest and wait and then review, right? I mean, there's some strategy, and both of us love strategy. But I was just going to highlight too. I love how you said, generally these are things you need to put into force younger. Why? Because it does go into a health grade. Your insurability comes into factor. So when you're younger, you're generally to an insurance underwriter healthier, right? They're going to require less cost. So look at these early. But I was also going to add in that, the other strategy that I'm seeing this used a lot for is for those that have maybe children or grandparents that are wanting to do some kind of legacy benefit for their grandchildren, right? This is a perfect policy that you could give to a younger child because their insurance ratings are so low, right? At that point, because they're young, their health grades are really, really good. But just imagine the gift of being able to fund a life insurance policy that gives access to the money for these individuals, based on the terms that you've created, so much more accessible. I don't have to go put it into a 529 and use it for only education. I don't have to put it into a Roth, which I can't because it requires their earned income. This is a solution that I can fund, or I can ask my grandparent clients to fund for their grandkids strategy, where the child's the insured, the grandparents are the owners. You can change that, and the beneficiaries are also going to be the owners, right? But just imagine the power of the accumulation of that for this child that might be 10 today. You fund it for a few years. Fast forward to when they're 35 or 40. Maybe this could be their seed money to start their business. Maybe this could be the down payment on their house and realizing the American dream, right? Maybe this just allows them to transition from maybe a not good career option to a career option, but having that extra money that doesn't have rules inside of a 401k or rules inside of a 529 or cash that hasn't grown. I mean, the versatility of this solution can pierce through all things. So you can see this is why I get passionate about it. I know this is why Jason's passionate about it. My closing marks, and I'll let Jason bring us home on this, is one, if you've got insurance policies out here, review them. Our team will help you. We'd love to sit down if you go to clearpicturefinancial.com and reach out to us or email us at clearpicture@pciawealth.com. but you should do. We do for our clients regular reviews. Things that we're going to be looking at, right, is what Jason mentioned, the cost, the original design. Does it still meet those standpoints? And let's forecast to make sure they're still going to do what you originally thought they were to do. So important to get the strategy. So we'd really love it. Anybody or offering that has an interest in having it review, reach out to us. We're here to help. If you're a grandparent or you're looking for a structure, call us, right? We do this all the time. Such a fun strategy, such a fun little gift that you can give on a regular basis out there. But those are my two big takeaway nuggets. And of course, the two birds with one stone I always end. These are life insurance policies first, cash value second, but you get so much more control of your money than you would put it into maybe some other buckets.
It really comes back to the policy design. And I'm going to lift the veil about what's going on with the industry on this topic. You have advisors that do only assets under management, and they're saying buy term and invest the rest. Well, there's a conflict of interest involved in that because they want more money going into their assets under management, less going out for insurance premiums. So they're defending their paycheck on that conversation. The other side of the equation is you have insurance agents. They love this topic. They're gonna repurpose it to say, look at these guys, they're saying it too. Okay. No, they're defending their compensation because the only thing they have in their quiver is insurance. So they're going, here's how you could get tax-free retirement and this and that. And it's kind of like a Roth, right? And they start going down that path. And then like you put the assets under management guys and girls into a room with insurance only guys and girls, it's going to be a fight because what they're doing is they're defending their income. So how do Andy and I work with that? We do both. We do both. And so we understand the pros and cons of what's going on in the assets world, and we understand the pros and cons of what's going on in the insurance world. And here's the thing, where they're both wrong, they're also both right. There's pros and cons to everything we do in life. The only thing that's only positive is our spouses. Is that right, Andy?
That's right.
This is so we're checking our spouses are listening to us all the way through. All right. And if that put a smile on your face, then you know you're in our crew. With that being said, that was Andy Merchant. I'm Jason Noble. Thank you so much for listening to 20 Minutes of Clarity.